Ready. Play.
Okay, let's start looking ahead then to that final that we've now set up. It's the third big tournament in a row, Rome, Roland Garros, and now Wimbledon, with an Alcaraz Sinner final. And yeah, Vanch, let's discuss where do we see Sinner at going into this final, because he still can't beat Carlos, and this does feel like he's going into Carlos's backyard, maybe more so than Roland Garros.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they just played like an absolute epic, one of the best matches of all time. And then, now, coming into this Wimbledon final, obviously there were a few questions about Jannik, in the fourth round against Dimitrov, and where his physical state was that. I think he's answered those questions, and he looks in great shape. He looks well rested. He looks ready for another great battle, and I think it's going to be another really awesome final. I think, it's come what we expect from these two. Every time they play each other, it's basically come down to really slim margins. Carlos has won the last 5, and he's been just on another level on the really big points in the tie breaks. And obviously, what I'm curious to see is how much of what we saw at RG is going to be applicable here, or it's just totally different on grass. When it comes to, is Sinner going to be able to get the first strike in on return and hurt Carlos more when he's not hitting his spots? And is Alcaraz going to continue to serve as great as he has? Is Sinner going to be able to keep his first serve percentage really high in those big spots in the tiebreaks, which he actually hasn't managed to do that well. He hasn't managed to serve over 60% in most of their last 5 matches. So I'm curious about those from an X's and O's standpoint, what the serve and return dynamic looks like, and how, because I mean, when they played each other 3 years ago, then Carlos could not move as well as they could on grass at that point. So he just looked rushed the whole time for 4 sets. But this obviously is just going to be much more evenly matched, and I think we're in for a really good one. I obviously would give a slight edge to Carlos just based on the win streak that he's on, just based on how comfortable he looks moving on the surface, and just kind of the intangibles and extra variety and his 5-set record, and just you can point to so many things. But it should be an absolute other epic.
Damian, anything you want to add to that? Those sort of the dynamics you're expecting to see in this final?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't think it will be as good as at Roland Garros, but we were longing to get this matchup in a slam for a while, and now we get 2 in a row. They're obviously far and above among anyone else on the tour. Jannik arrives a little untested, I would say. He had one opponent who was really pushing him, and that opponent just got injured in the first set. It wasn't like Jannik was finding some incredible response there. He also had this really haunting loss against Carlos at Roland Garros, obviously. I don't know if maybe that comes into play at some point. Nonetheless, I actually like his chances on grass a little bit more than I did on clay. He had just that velocity that he plays with on both wings. The serve seemingly should help him out a little. I don't know. I think all the factors that Vanch mentioned, they are definitely kind of more pointing towards Carlos, but I also kind of never can forget that, well, the Roland Garros final, it was just back and forth. Jannik could have won it in 5 different moments. It's not like we can say with full confidence that this time, no, I mean, clearly Carlos is going to win because he's got this mental edge built up. We will have to see how he deals with that. It's also 9-4 instead of 8-4. But yeah, I mean, obviously he's had a very good run against Jannik. Does that help? Maybe it hurts Jannik more than it helps Carlos, I think, to kind of be calm in that match. But we've also seen Alcaraz arrive in the Sinner matchup so many times right now with a very different focus, intensity than against other opponents. He knows that he cannot afford to be, have these dips and just kind of mess around. He knows that he has to be on it from the get-go. So he's done that, but obviously every single streak will end at some point. I think that might be it. But I do kind of wonder about Jannik simply because, yeah, he was tested by one opponent and that opponent did not go away. He didn't make that opponent go away. He just literally, the opponent got injured, and that's why he's still in the tournament. But it is a fantastic match for sure. It is the matchup that for the last, honestly, the second week of Wimbledon, has been pretty awful. Like, it's just been, skip to the finals, because we all knew that this was going to be probably since Dimitrov retired, Sinner and Alcaraz. We pretty much knew what was going to happen and who was going to be in Sunday's final. The matches weren't even that interesting. So hopefully there's that big payoff like it was at Roland Garros. I don't think it can be as good, but needless to say, these are the best two players in the world right now. This is the biggest matchup in the world right now, and anytime we get it, it's a big win for tennis.
I mean, look, anytime we have an epic between a couple of players, the follow-up is never as exciting. If you look at Borg McEnroe, they had a 5-setter in 1980 at Wimbledon and then the US Open, and the US Open one is not talked about as much. I mentioned Graf Selash, that was a complete opposite of competitive in the follow-up at the Wimbledon. And then if you think about Nadal Federer, after Wimbledon 2008, I think their next match was 2009 Australian Open. And again, very good match, did not live up to the standard of Wimbledon 2008. I think that's probably what we're going to see here. I think it will be a good match. That back and forth that we see, those momentum shifts we see in an Alcaraz and Sinner match, those have always happened every time they've played. Even that Rome final they played, that first set was real back and forth. It was only the second set that was a little bit of a letdown. But other than that, yeah, I think they just sort of keep swapping sets whenever they play. And I am expecting more of that. But yeah, I would agree with you. I don't think we should go in expecting another sort of crazy exchange of breaks, final set tie break in the fifth again. That's not... you're inevitably going to be disappointed, but I think it will be a really exciting match, and it's tough to call. It is on Alcaraz at the moment. This is his backyard. He's barely losing on grass. He's going for a third consecutive Wimbledon. But Sinner is the last person to beat him at Wimbledon, albeit they weren't quite the same players back then. That might be Sinner's last winner. Do you want to confirm on that, Vanch or Damian, if that was the last time Sinner beat Alcaraz? Was Miami 23? No, Umag.
It was Beijing 2023.
No,
Beijing
I mean,
23.
there was Beijing as well. Umag would have been 22.
Yeah, wrong year.
Yeah, so basically, since Sinner has become Sinner, he hasn't managed to get over the line against Carlos, or win the final point.
I do like what you were saying, though, Vanch, about grass, because I'm surprised that Sinner's not been more successful on grass than he has. Obviously, he has won that title in Halle now last year, because the velocity that he has off both wings is pretty strong. On there, he keeps things fairly flat and low. Carlos's variety maybe works a bit better on grass because he can do the same thing. He can use it to his advantage. I think we're in for a thriller, but I think with the way the matchup's going, with the surface, you do have to favour Carlos on paper right now. But I definitely think Sinner takes at least one set. I mean, Vanch, do you want to? How are you seeing this one going? Do you want to put sort of a prediction out there?
I definitely, I'm not going to say it's going to be a repeat of the RG final in terms of just how unbelievably high quality and how dramatic that was. It's just going to be unfair to put that expectation on these two every time they play. But I do think just how evenly matched sometimes they are off the ground, and just how there's not that much separating them when they're both playing well at the same time. I do think we'll have a patch of that in this match, and that'll just be really, really high quality. I would expect it to probably go the distance again. I think I'm going to say 5 sets again. I'll probably go Alcaraz in 5.
Damian?
Honestly, gut feeling, Jannik is going to be very hard to handle for Carlos.
Oh.
But logic would kind of suggest that Alcaraz, again, just has the intangibles, has the slightly more versatile skill set. In fact, not slightly. Obviously has the mental edge as well. But yeah, all streaks come to an end. We will see Jannik beat Carlos Alcaraz in the future. I'm pretty sure about that. It will probably be quite soon as well. I mean, we will probably see Carlos Alcaraz lose his winning streak as well very soon. And yeah, I mean, I am expecting this to be another massive challenge, massive hill to climb for Alcaraz if he's going to claim another title. But is he the favorite? I mean, marginally.
He is definitely marginally the favourite, and that's why I'm also going to agree with Vanch and say Carlos in 5. I definitely think that it's going to be a massive treat for anyone watching this Wimbledon final coming up, and you're going to see some ball striking like we have just like at an incredible level, and I think everyone should be looking forward to this. Have played at Wimbledon before, but as I said, like that was pre either of them really coming into their own, before either of them were Grand Slam champions. So yeah, we'll see how that one how that one goes. I'm pretty excited for that. Do you? I think it looks like they're pretty locked in as well. Like Sinner's locked in since the Grigor scare. Carlos, he's dropping sets, but I don't think he's losing to. It was because he was losing sets to opponents who were playing pretty well to kind of steal some sets. So yeah, I guess we'll find out. Any final thoughts on this match, or the match we just had with Djokovic, or the match that we've got look forward to with the final, Damian?
Yeah, in terms of unreal ball striking, I think it's also important to mention that Sia and Ostapenko are almost into a Wimbledon final. But now, yeah, I mean, Alcaraz and Sinner in terms of the final, I don't know if there's much more to say. Carlos obviously has been dropping sets a lot more and kind of maybe looking a little bit more shaky round to round, but that we know that this is fine for him. He did the same at Roland Garros. I just hope it's not like a massive disappointment compared to Roland Garros final, because it's obviously such a tough one to just match that. I think that it cannot be this good. If it is going to be the best match of all time again, then so be it. But it's still basically the ending to the tournament that everybody was hoping for, that I'm sure the organizers also had in mind. And, this being the last match of the championships in 2025, it just really couldn't be any better. I will probably be watching the Challenger finals, but I promise I will be keeping an eye on this as well.
Vanch, I'm going to leave the last word to you. Final thoughts going into this?
No, I mean, this would be three Wimbledon titles in a row for Carlos. Of course, he would also be going for back-to-back natural surface slams, and back-to-back channel doubles.
I don't think.
Yeah, which, I mean, last year he was already the youngest ever, because he did it younger than Bjorn Borg, and now he'll be the youngest ever to do 2, I guess. He'd also have 6 slams already. Like, there's just a lot on the line historically, which Carlos will probably have to try to just forget about, because he's had a 24-match win streak. Obviously, he's trying to go for even more, and he's just been on a roll really since Monte Carlo, and I believe it's 33-1 now since the start of Monte Carlo, and 24 in a row since the start of Rome. So obviously he's just riding this incredible wave, and he's, winning this would just put him in such great position to also probably finish the year number 1 or be pretty ahead in that race. So there's all those things, obviously statistically and narrative-wise, and for Sinner to get a win here would also be really massive. Then he would also be just one Roland Garros away from the career slam, and he would be 2 in a row against Alcaraz at Wimbledon. And so I guess, it's also massive from that standpoint. But at some point, like Damian said, they're just so close at level, and Jannik is just way too good for Carlos to keep on beating him every single time. So he's going to be massively difficult in the final. And, like that Roland Garros final could have easily been straight sets for Sinner, 4 sets for Sinner, 5 sets for Sinner. Yeah. So it'll be fascinating to see if some of that comes into play again. Really big points. We can see Carlos pull off that kind of magic, or if we see Sinner really just stand up to him and shut the door. From that standpoint, it should be absolutely epic.
I think that's what we should dwell on. It should be an absolute epic on Sunday. And if you're not excited by it, I don't know what will excite you. So we'll wrap that up there. We will be doing watch-alongs for both singles finals. Ghosty's getting me excited to go and watch women's doubles semi-finals happening right now. But yeah, we're going to be.
Who says we've been missing it, by the way, Ghosty? I am watching
it. So we've got watch-alongs happening for both. Women's final tomorrow, which will be 4 p.m. GMT, sort of 11 a.m. Eastern time. Same time for the men's final, when the players will be walking out on court. So if you want to enjoy the action with us, please tune in. And we look forward to having you along for what should be an absolutely brilliant ride.
Alcaraz versus Sinner in the final of Wimbledon. I do think that Carlos may end up winning on Sunday. Sinner will put up a tough fight, but I think it will be very similar to what happened in the French Open final. Considering the slight injury that Sinner has been carrying, we do not know the extent of which, and also how Djokovic could not really give the tough fight that we were hoping for him to give to Sinner in this match. I do feel that Taylor made Carlos a little more prepared for the final, and for that reason I am rooting for Carlos in the final.
Okay, so Jannik Sinner against Carlos Alcaraz. What a surprising final at Wimbledon. It's a rematch of the French Open final, and yeah, we know Carlos has been very successful in this matchup lately, but many of these matches have been very, very, very tight. So both myself and actually also people and media in Italy think this can be another great match. Alcaraz, two-time Wimbledon champion, Sinner first time into the final, last player to defeat Carlos at Wimbledon. I think it's gonna be another great battle, and actually I probably think we can have another 5-setter, and I don't know, probably this time the result gonna be reversed compared to the French Open final. I don't know, I'm kind of sensing that because of what I've watched in terms of the ball striking and the ability to take the ball early by Sinner against Shelton and Djokovic. So probably I'm leaning to that result, but of course anything can happen. We know how good Carlos is at Wimbledon, and you know, both are playing for some historical feat. First Wimbledon champion from Italy, Sinner, Alcaraz to win his third Wimbledon in a row, so it's gonna be lots of fun.
Alright guys, it's Brenner here from the Tennis Hall of Fame in Newport, Rhode Island. I'm going to be taking Carlos Alcaraz to complete the three-peat at Wimbledon. He takes down Jannik Sinner, and I'm going to go 4 sets. I think there should be some tight sets in there, but I think overall Carlos has the edge with the feeling on the surface. I think he has the edge mentally coming into this battle, and I think if there is any injury concerns for Sinner, I think Alcaraz has the ability to expose them. So yeah, Alcaraz completes the three-peat in 4 sets.
I'm going to say something controversial. I'm going to say something some might call brave. I think the guy that won the last 2 Wimbledons is going to also win this year. Alcaraz in 4. No one can stop the young Spaniard on this surface. Not today, not yesterday, and not tomorrow. Sinner is playing unbelievable tennis. He absolutely cooked Djokovic in a way that was pretty sad to see, honestly, as somebody who's been a longtime fan of the Joker. But Alcaraz is simply too good. He has the magic. Sinner plays apex stock tennis. Alcaraz has something that you simply cannot teach, and he's going to get it done.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.